Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about love, not that ordinary kind of love. I'm talking about that soul connection love. You ever meet somebody and you can't even explain why they feel so familiar, like the universe said, yep, that's your person right there. See, when someone feels a soul connection with you, they ain't got to say much. The signs start showing up all by themselves. When someone feels a soul connection with you, the very first thing you start to notice is how naturally communication flows between the two of you. It's like your heart suddenly learned a new language that only the two of you understand. You can talk to them about anything, the things you're proud of, the things you're ashamed of, your wildest dreams, your deepest fears, and even those quiet insecurities you've never spoken out loud before. With them, you don't need a filter. You don't need to pretend. You don't need to explain your whole life story just to be understood. Somehow, they just get you. And that kind of connection doesn't show up in every relationship. When a person is soul tied to you, communication becomes effortless. Even the things that are hard to say become easier because, deep down, they are listening not only to your words, but to the emotions behind those words. They aren't waiting for their turn to speak. They aren't looking for flaws in your voice. They are paying attention to the heartbeat behind your sentences. You feel safe opening up because their presence feels like comfort, like home. And safety is something you cannot fake. You either feel it or you don't. Sometimes you start talking and hours pass like minutes. Other times you can say just one sentence and they already know exactly what you're thinking. They hear the emotions you're trying to hide. They notice the shake in your voice when you say, "I'm fine," but you're clearly not. They can listen to your silence and understand your pain. That is the power of a soul connection. Communication isn't limited to what is spoken. And let's talk about honesty. A soul connection doesn't encourage lying, pretending, or wearing a mask. You feel inspired to be truthful because the bond is too real, too meaningful, too genuine to be spoiled by anything fake. You want to show them who you are behind the smile, behind the toughness, behind the walls you've built. And when you finally let those walls fall, instead of running, they walk straight through the door you opened and meet you with warmth. They don't use your vulnerability against you. They honor it. You find yourself telling them things you never expected to share. You might even shock yourself with how much you reveal. But the surprising part is, it doesn't scare you. You don't overthink it later. You don't regret opening your heart. That's how you know something deeper is happening. Because with the wrong person, every word feels risky. But with a soul connection, every word feels right. There's laughter too, that pure kind that makes your chest feel lighter, the kind that reminds you what joy sounds like. And when life gets heavy, their voice alone can bring you peace. You start to crave communication with them, not out of addiction, but out of alignment. It feels like your soul finally found someone who speaks the same emotional frequency as you. Communication becomes a place of healing. It becomes a place where love is spoken fluently without needing to be defined. That is the first and strongest sign of a true soul connection, the way your hearts understand each other long before your minds catch up. When someone feels a soul connection with you, one of the most undeniable signs is how deeply they notice the small things about you, not just the obvious parts that everybody sees, your smile, your voice, your style, but the quiet details that you never thought anyone would pay attention to. They notice the way your eyes brighten when you talk about something you love. They notice how you tuck your hair behind your ear when you're nervous, or how you take a deep breath before you speak your truth. They notice your habits, your patterns, your moods, the things hidden in between your words. A soul-connected person pays attention because their heart is invested. They aren't observing you for entertainment. They're studying you because knowing you feels important to them. They care about what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what gives you comfort, and what triggers your worry. They don't just memorize your favorite things, they make them meaningful. If you tell them once that you love a certain snack, a certain song, or a certain place, they'll remember. They'll surprise you with it when you least expect it, because those details live in their heart, not their mind. They also notice your struggles, even the ones you try to hide. They can tell when something is bothering you, even when you pretend you're fine. You don't need to explain it. They read your energy like a book. They catch the silence behind your laughter and the fear behind your strength. They know when you need a hug without asking, when you need space without disappearing, and when you need reassurance without demanding it. They see the version of you that you show to the world and the version you only show when you feel safe, and they care about both. When someone's soul is tied to yours, they pay attention to your dreams too. They remember the goals you shyly admitted. They celebrate your wins louder than anyone and support you through your losses without making you feel weak. They don't belittle your ambitions. Instead, they speak life into them. They want to know where you see yourself in the future, not out of curiosity, but because they are silently imagining themselves in that picture with you. And here's something powerful. They notice the ways you love. They notice your giving heart, the way you care for others, and the loyalty you offer so easily. They notice when you're tired because you're always trying to be strong for everyone else. And they admire you for it. Your efforts never go unseen. With a soul connection, they appreciate the things about you that others take for granted. That attention to detail becomes their love language. They watch, they learn, and they show up in ways no one else ever has. Not because you asked, not because they want anything in return, but because caring about you feels like second nature. When someone truly sees you beyond the surface, your quirks, your softness, your heart, that's when you know this isn't just attraction, it's a soul recognizing its match. When someone feels a soul connection with you, silence becomes one of the most powerful conversations you will ever share. In a world where People are constantly talking, constantly trying to fill the quiet with noise. This kind of bond feels different. You can sit next to them and say absolutely nothing, yet feel like everything important has already been communicated. Their presence alone gives you peace. There's no pressure to be entertaining, no need to perform or impress. You can just be, and that is enough. You start to notice how comfortable you feel in the quiet moments with them. That's because silence with a soul connection doesn't feel empty, it feels full. Full of understanding, full of comfort, full of warmth. It's like your souls are having a conversation without your mouths even moving. You might be sitting in a car, walking together, or sharing a quiet meal, and you feel this strong sense of closeness that doesn't require any explanation. There's a calmness that wraps around your heart and tells you, this is the kind of peace I deserve. It's funny how silence can reveal so much about a connection. With the wrong person, silence is uncomfortable. It feels like distance, like something is missing. But with the right person, that soul-connected person, silence feels like a home you've been searching for without even knowing it. You don't rush to fill the space because it doesn't feel like space at all. It feels like understanding. You can breathe in that silence. You can heal in that silence. You can grow in that silence. There's also a silent language that forms between the two of you. A look becomes a sentence. A smile becomes a paragraph. A gentle touch becomes a whole story. They can look into your eyes and know when you're hurting or when you've had a long day. They can sense when you need comfort before you ask for it. They feel the energy in your silence and respond to it with care. That's because their soul is tuned to yours emotionally, spiritually, and intuitively. Sometimes you may even find that words get in the way. Talking too much can complicate what your hearts already understand perfectly. So instead, you just exist together. Maybe you lean into them, or they take your hand, or they simply sit close. And suddenly, the whole world feels quieter, softer, and more manageable. It's as if the chaos outside pauses for the two of you to breathe. That kind of silent communication reveals something deep. Trust. You trust that they are there even when they aren't speaking. You trust that your connection goes beyond logic and beyond explanation. And you trust that you don't have to fill every moment to keep them close. When silence feels like closeness instead of distance, that is soul recognition. That is two spirits understanding each other on a level beyond conversation. That is how you know you've found a connection that is deeper than anything your voice could ever describe. When someone feels a soul connection with you, protecting your peace becomes one of their greatest priorities. They don't want to disturb your spirit, drain your energy, or add chaos to your life. Instead, they become a source of calm, a person who brings balance to your world. You'll notice how they start paying attention to the things that stress you and the things that soothe you. They want to be someone you can rely on, not someone you need a break from. Their presence feels like a sanctuary. You rest better knowing they are beside you, or even simply knowing they care. This kind of person will always try to make you feel secure. They won't play games with your heart or confuse you with mixed signals. When someone is genuinely connected to your soul, they don't disappear when life gets complicated. They won't create doubt in your mind or force you to question their intentions every single day. Instead, they provide clarity. They speak with actions that prove their words. They show consistency because loving you brings them peace too. They want your mind to be calm, not constantly wondering where you stand with them. Another thing you will see is how much they respect your boundaries. They don't push you into situations you don't want to be in. They don't force you to open up before you're ready. They allow you to move at the pace your heart feels safe with. They support you through healing and never make you feel weak for having scars. They understand that protecting your peace doesn't only mean shielding you from external problems. Sometimes it means helping you fight the battles happening inside your own thoughts. They stand by you through your anxious moments and celebrate the days you feel strong and proud of yourself. Their role in your life becomes a source of motivation too. They encourage you to chase your dreams without fear. They remind you of your worth when you forget. They bring comfort when life gets heavy and guide you back to happiness whenever you drift away from it. They protect your heart as if it were their own. That level of care doesn't come from temporary attraction. It comes from a connection rooted deep in the soul. They also protect your reputation when you aren't around. They don't let others speak negatively about you. They defend you fiercely because loyalty comes naturally when love is real. They take pride in being someone who adds value to your life instead of becoming another reason for your tears. They want to see you happy, genuinely happy, and they will do whatever they can to preserve that happiness. With them, peace stops being something you fight for and starts being something you feel effortlessly. They remind you what emotional safety feels like. They show you how beautiful love can be when it doesn't hurt. And through their consistency, gentleness, and protection, you realize that some connections don't enter your life to break you. They come to heal you. And when a person protects your peace as if it's their duty, that is a sign that their soul is deeply, beautifully connected to yours. When someone feels a soul connection with you, their actions start speaking louder than any words ever could. They don't just tell you they care, they prove it day after day in ways that touch your heart deeply. They pay attention to what you need emotionally, mentally, and physically, and without you asking, they show up in those moments that matter the most. They don't wait for you to fall apart before they offer support. They notice your effort and they match it with their own, not because they feel obligated, but because loving you feels natural and purposeful. You'll notice that they make time for you even when life gets busy. They value your presence and don't treat you like an option or an afterthought. They prioritize you without making you beg for attention or affection. They respond, they check in, they show concern when something feels off. And that consistency, That's one of the strongest signs that their connection to you is rooted in something much deeper than attraction or momentary interest. Their soul gravitates toward yours, and effort becomes effortless. They learn your love language, not through questioning, but through observation. If you need words of affirmation, they speak life into you. If you need acts of service, they step in before you even ask. If your heart responds to quality time, they make space for you in their world. If physical touch brings comfort, they offer it generously. And if gifts make you feel seen, they surprise you with thoughtful gestures that show they listen closely. Their actions align with the way you receive love, because to them, making you feel cherished is a privilege, not a task. This person also pays attention to your emotional cues. They celebrate your highs and stand by you during your lows. They don't disappear when things get tough or uncomfortable. Instead, they stay, they lean in, they support, they reassure. You never have to wonder whether they care, because they prove it through every thoughtful gesture and every moment they choose to be present. They want to lighten your burdens, not add to them. They want to see you smile, not be the reason for your tears. Their actions also reflect respect. They listen when you speak. They apologize when they are wrong. They are mindful of how their behavior affects your heart. They treat you like someone they are proud to have in their life. Loyalty becomes one of the clearest languages of their love. They don't entertain distractions. They don't flirt with temptation, and they don't risk losing what they cherish. They choose you consistently, even when no one is watching. More than anything, they invest in the connection. They talk about the future. They want to grow with you, and they put in real effort to build something lasting. They nurture the bond the way you water a plant you want to see flourish. Because when someone's soul recognizes yours, they don't leave love up to chance. They protect it, value it, and work for it every single day. And that is how you know someone is connected to you on a soul level. They love through actions that make you feel safe, seen, and unquestionably wanted. When someone feels a soul connection with you, one of the most beautiful signs is how naturally the future starts to appear in the reflection of their eyes. You don't have to force the idea. You don't have to convince them of your value or beg them to stay. Instead, the possibility of a shared future becomes something that feels easy, something that feels right. You find yourself talking about tomorrow without fear. You both begin to imagine life side by side, not because you're pushing it, but because your hearts are already aligned. With a soul connection, the future isn't a scary mystery anymore. It becomes a shared dream. You'll notice how they start including you in their plans, not just in fantasy, but in real life decisions. They ask about your goals and where you see yourself a few years from now. They want to know what you desire, what kind of home brings you comfort, what kind of love brings you peace. They start using words like "we" and "us" because their heart has already chosen you long before their mind begins to rationalize it. There's a sense of comfort in knowing that this person isn't here just for a season. They aren't treating you like a temporary distraction or a moment of convenience. They look at you like someone they want to build with. They want to grow with you.